This was just the random month I picked. So let's go. May 2024. And we're going to emulate 550Ks. So by doing that, we're going to do 250K balance, right? Because we want to apply our backtesting psychology and the things we do in live markets in backtesting as well. And this is a fresh account, so I need to create it. So May, what is it? Yeah, May 2024. Bet. Go June. But I swear FX Replay is so laggy, bro. Alright. Turn this off. Bet. Let's cook. I want a 100% win rate this month. If I don't, all my days, bro. Holy jar. Get rid of these fucking chart colors right now. Fuck me. Give me a sec. Yeah, that's better. 9:30. Make the time correct. Alright. So, let's start with the 1st of May. Now, we need to first start and look and see what the news drivers are. So, let's go on 9:30. Let's start on a higher time frame. So, what do we see here? Now, give me a second. May 2024. Yeah. Alright. So, yeah, okay, let's start on the daily, right? So on the daily, what do we see? We see prices obviously. Oh, for fuck's sake. One sec. There we go. What the fuck? Alright, so on the daily, we see both ES and NQ are quite bearish, right? We're trending bearish. But we don't really care about the daily. Now, if we go on the hourly specifically, right, what do we see here? Both on ES and NQ. So we see that we've been trending kind of bullish. We've been in this market maker buy model, right? Higher highs, higher lows. We got this deep retrace, but then continued higher. Boom. Then we rebalanced into this range right here, this huge range, and formed SMT with these significant highs, which is probably within a daily bearish gap. But it's in at least a bearish gap. So from that SMT, from that external form of manipulation there, we've now seen a state of consolidation and displacement below that consolidation, displacement below this low, etc. So because of that, we're now trending bearish, and my next draws, in terms of like external draws, will be these lows right here. We've also got these lows, boom. There's only unfilled 4 hours. We just tapped into that gap. Now, if we look at the daily range, what has price done since daily open? Okay, so this is a Devil's Mark day. Now, a Devil's Mark day is basically where, when midnight opens, typically, we'll, like midnight open say, we'll manipulate in London above, or at some point, above midnight opening price, at least by like 20, 30, 50 points, then go lower. Or vice versa, right? But the fact that from midnight open, we've got like no manipulation, like this tiny ass manipulation, 1 point, it's a Devil's Mark day. So what does that mean? When we barely get any manipulation above midnight open, we just straight dump down. That means the move to the downside is unsponsored, even though we tapped into this gap. And so because of this, and because we've dumped so many points, 450 points, with the biggest retrace being 88 points, we are quite oversold. So because of that, I think I'm going to be more bullish than bearish today. But I just want to see how price reacts to this until the high. Once we take out this high, you can either rebalance to then continue higher, or we just continue lower to take out these draws. But for the idea that we have a Devil's Mark day and we're so oversold, I will stay more bullish than bearish, right? That's it. Let me go on the stream. Alright. So other than that, let's go on the 15-minute. I might do this quite slowly because I want to make sure it's thorough as fuck. If you have any questions, just put it in the comments. The chat. So, okay, cool. what news do we have as well? Okay, so it is the first week of the month, right? The first week of the month is normally the most shit week, and it's consistently the shittest week of the month. And on top of that, we have PMI. So I'm anticipating. Oh, and we have FOMC. Okay, well, this day is going to be shit. But let's run through it. So we have PMI, 10 a.m. news. Typically, those days are shit. And also, because we have FOMC in the PM, 80% of the time we consolidate and generate liquidity for FOMC, right? These news drivers are important. And so we're probably going to have shit delivery. So let's just play out from market open, see what we do. See how price reacts to that high there. So the devil's mark is just when we are so oversold with no proper manipulation, anticipating us to reverse, for us to reverse or continue. Yeah, so like, we were bearish as fuck. If we're bearish from midnight open, we should at least manipulate above midnight opening's price to go lower. But the fact that this bearish move to the downside had no manipulation above midnight open when it opened, it's literally the exact high of day at midnight open, shows us that we're very, very oversold, right? So yeah, literally that. And so because of that, I expect price to at least go to that general range, which is also in line with this high, which is a 4-hour bearish gap. So that's that. Now, it's just, oh my god. I hate when price does this. It just creates a huge wick. That's why Epic's replay is shit. We just make sure I'm recording. Alright, so cool. Market opens, what do we see? Now we have this 50-minute bullish gap. I probably won't trade today unless something so beyond obvious setups like occurs, but we'll see. Now, yes, we have SMT here, but I don't care about going short just yet, because we could still respect this 15-minute gap. Plus, we've got loads of draws and liquidity that are very far away from us, so there's no need to like rush shorts just yet. But also, I'm still confident that we'll continue higher, just because we have this devil's market, both ES and NQ haven't taken out this high. So let's not rush into anything. And if we are bearish, then I probably wouldn't want to take anything. So we have SMT again at these highs. Again, this is clear sign of high resistance price action. So far, we've only moved 50 points. So a lack of volatility, number one. We're manipulating highs once, twice, 3 times, this third SMT. Also, wick. It's kind of just not good price action. And if we look on ES, it's choppy as well. So this is high resistance. Yeah, so again, you see here we kind of go above the SMT, but we just end up closing like shit, manipulating the high for the fourth time. Now we're seeing displacement on ES. By this point, yes, we could probably get a scalp in, but then we get bad displacement to the downside as well. We see a lack of willingness to go in any direction. Although I will say, we are respecting this 15-minute gap. We're getting a flip off of it. But again, like, I wouldn't be taking any of this. Even though we disrespected the idea of this SMT holding, and we're getting displacement above this high, what we want to do on high resistance days, if we were to take an entry, is we want to see the BISI respect after we displace above a high or a low, right? So what do we do after it? As soon as we get displacement and that SMT disrespect, we instantly just close below this BISI. So by this point, it's 9:45. We see lack of volatility, 50 points. High resistance price action. By this point, I'm skipping the day. There's no need to put any risk on the table. Even if, let's say, we do end up having decent price action, you can just wait another day, right? That's how simple it is. So, next day, let's see if we can take a banger here. This day is Thursday, we have no news, so honestly, I'm expecting a mid to high probable price action here. Holy shit. FOMC yesterday was fucking crazy. So, what we did was we just absolutely rallied higher, went into this PXL general range right here. Also, within this 4-hour within this 4-hour gap. And this huge wick, the fact that as soon as we continued higher, got instant displacement to the downside, tells me that we're more bearish than bullish. Also, if we look from midnight open, what do we see? We have all these low resistance lows to be taken. So honestly, I'm going to have more of a bearish bias, right? I'm anticipating price to be bearish. However, like, we could still be bullish. Now, if I'm bearish, my draws will be these lows. And obviously these lows, these lows. This is, oh, this is a nice new day opening gap as well, which is very, very good drawn liquidity. It will also be these relative equal lows here, which we have both on, yeah, both ES and NQ formed relative equal lows. So because of that, I'll keep a bearish bias. If I'm bullish, my draws and liquidity will be these highs. Now, the draws and liquidity aren't the best just because of what happened of FOMC. We're kind of just in this huge range, but obviously we're still respecting this gap. So let's just see what price does from market open, right? 5 minute. Let's mark out any potential 5 minute gaps. Cool. We have these two. Mark them out. We've created, are those equal lows? Okay, not equal lows, but technically an SMT there. But I don't think that SMT will hold, to be honest. And again, if I was to take longs, because our closest drawn liquidity is like all the way up here, I wouldn't need to take longs until like up here. So I don't need to stress about taking longs. So to be honest, I'm more focused on shorts here. But what have we done on the lower time frame? We've created two relative equal lows here, both on ES and NQ. So I honestly think market open is going to rebalance into this bearish gap to then just displace lower. That's what I'm anticipating. So, and also we've got these nice relative equal lows. Now, if we also look at the volatility, I didn't check it out. Pre-market moved 105 points. So volatility check, draws liquidity to the downside, look good. Now we just got to gauge the price action and how good it is. So, okay. We tap into that 5 minute bearish gap there. Cool. From that, also, if we mark out the fib, just an extra add-on, perfectly 0.706 of the range OTE. That's good. So we're getting a strong wick rejection. Now, I'd like to see some displacement to the downside here. Okay, we're getting good displacement. So you could enter this short. The reason why I wouldn't enter this right here is just because the first drawn liquidity is kind of close, and also the candle is only 19 seconds in, and because it's 9:31, unless it's such a high probable day, 9:30's first few minutes can be very manipulative. So it's very permissible for price to edge these draws, manipulate me, then continue lower. So I'd like to be a bit more patient here, right? Okay, we've taken out these lows, but we have other bearish draws, so we don't need to care. So now we've re-swept this low and formed SMT here. So I'm asking myself, does this internal form of manipulation, this SMT, hold to reverse price to the upside, or just to rebalance price to then continue lower, right? But overall, it does look like we're bearish. Respecting this manipulation, we rebalance this bearish gap, displacement off of it. So let's just see what price does. Okay, so we have this bearish gap here. Cool. How does price react to this bearish gap? Now I'm going to go on the 1 second as if I was to play it out in real life, and let's just see here. Now, I'm trading 5 50Ks, so I'll probably be trading 1 mini per account. So 5 minis, let's just see. I want to see the displacement we get here. I want to see the speed of which this candle moves as well. Because the speed of which the candle moves tells us how much selling pressure and how much volume we're getting to the downside, right? But ES, even though it hasn't taken out this low, it looks like it doesn't want to respect the idea of this SMT holding. But 37 seconds in. Wait. Yeah, ES is not going to respect the SMT. Yeah, that's true displacement right there. That's speed and efficiency. Also, ES is getting bearish displacement, telling us it wants to disrespect the idea of this SMT holding. So I'm going to enter there. Cool. Our stop is protected by this wick high that's rebalanced into this gap. Cool. Unless, okay, so I'm going to enter there. Stop loss is going to be above the wick high. TP is going to be like there. Now, the only way I envision myself getting stopped out here is if we do some bullshit like get a deep retrace into the wick here to then continue lower, right, into this 5 minute wick. But honestly, I don't think that will happen just because our stop loss is protected by this wick that's already rebalanced into the bearish gap. So, let's see what price does here. So that's good displacement. Boom, and that's TP here. I guess it's TP here. I think I put my TP like, yeah. I knew there was this first low. Yeah. So boom, easy. You just... Okay, we got more people here. So that's the first trade. In and out. Easy work. Let's see what price does after it. We'll probably just continue lower just because we edged this draw. Yeah. Now, we work this low. Seeing a slowing down in price. Because we are in this... Okay, well, I still think price will then continue to this new week opening gap. But we have this unfilled 5 minute. If, let's say, you missed this entry, let's see what potential later entries we could take. So, honestly, we've tapped into this 1 minute gap right here. Now, we failed to tap into the 5 minute, right? We failed to sweep this internal high. But we don't necessarily have to. But if we get displacement below these internal lows, it tells me that price doesn't want to respect this form of manipulation here to then reverse higher. We want to continue to our next draws, which are this gap and these lows, right? But because our draws liquidity are quite far away, I'll probably wait for extra confirmation just because we didn't rebalance into this 5 minute bearish gap. We're getting a lot of displacement. Honestly, this could be a second entry, but I won't take this. And to be honest, I might not even take this live just because we're kind of too far away from the draws. But let's just see if this hits. And if you really want to, wait for candle closure and then wait for a SIBI rebalance after we get this displacement. But that's true displacement, so that would be the entry. But we're probably gonna like manipulate the knee then continue lower. This isn't the best entry, but yeah, I guess that was TP there. We respected these gaps. In fact, we opened the new 5 minute. In fact, yeah, this was a good trade. We were protected by this 5 minute bearish gap. Cool. We entered when we displaced below this internal low. Yes, you could have waited for the BIS you respect after it, right? And then the best entry, in my opinion, was probably here. We tapped in this 5 minute and this 1 minute bearish gap, displacement off of it, targeting our draws. In fact, let's see if it runs for 4 TP. Once ES takes out the low, I'll be X2. Yeah, and that's me gone. Easy. This honestly was a really good day. Easy continuation day. You could have got 3 bangers there. Let's go on the next day. Yagmer! Yagmer's in the building. Long time no see. You're right, Yagmer. Alright. So, next day. Let's go to midnight open. Okay. So what news do we have this week? Okay, well, we have NFP. I'm going to skip NFP. I never trade NFP, regardless. So Monday, no news. So honestly, this is kind of a hit or miss. Sometimes these no news Mondays can be really shit, but sometimes they can be pretty decent. But because it's 2024, we're in our old market conditions, so I'm expecting it to be a low probable, probably a no news, no trading day. But overall, if we look at the higher time frame, what do we see? If we go on the 4 hour, we see that price has had this form of manipulation. We displaced above the high, this FOMC high, that had already rebalanced into this bearish gap, which tells us that price doesn't want to respect this form of manipulation. And when we took out this high, we then rebalanced into this BISI and then displaced above this internal high, which is telling us price doesn't want to respect these bearish gaps and we're now bullish. Now, from this, we've then got these significant highs. But what have we done when we took them out? We took it out on this candle. Instead, we rebalanced price. And now we're seeing delivery to the upside, which tells me, overall on the higher time frame, I'm going to be more bullish than bearish. But again, the only thing that would stop me being bullish today is the fact that if we go to midnight open, again, we've had barely any manipulation below midnight open. Also, we have a lack of volatility, just under 100 points. And also, if you go on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, we've had such a huge displacement to the upside with barely any retraces. We have a 700 point move to the upside with the largest retrace being 164 points. So to me, I look at this and I see we're quite overbought. Even though my order flow and my overall objective for the later days is to be bullish, we are quite overbought. So for that reason, we could also be bearish, but we'll just see, right? Now, let's play out market open. There's not much that I see right now. Who's in the audience? Okay, there's not much that I see, so I'm just going to play out market open to give us some more context. Alright, so to be honest, what are we doing? Let me just mark out this. We're respecting this manipulation here. And we have this 15-minute buy-side imbalance in which we tapped into once. So if we're getting displacement below the low that tapped into this BISI, then we're most likely going to continue lower to these next draws, in which are pretty good because these are quite low resistance lows, right? We've got relative equal lows here. And we've also got all of these lows here. So I want to see some volatility, speed and efficiency, and potentially we could take an entry. Now we do also have SMT. So I want to see if that SMT holds to rebalance price to continue lower or to reverse. See what price does at this bearish gap. Potentially we could frame it short here. Now, it's only 3 minutes into market open and we haven't moved with that much speed. Also, our draws liquidity are quite far away from us. So to be honest, for that reason, I'd rather be very risk averse and be very safe about my entries. So if we do get displacement here, it's not a bad short. Honestly, this could be doable, right? This entry is pretty decent. The only thing I don't like about this is I can still wait for longer to take trades to our next draws liquidity. But what's obvious is we're getting a lot of speed to the downside. It doesn't look like we're going to respect this 15-minute, right? From the SMT, we've rebalanced this 1 minute gap. In fact, we could put our stop loss there. But overall, let's just play out the next few seconds. Okay. You know what? Because it's not my ideal trade, I will take this, but we'll probably get break even on this. My stop loss like here. My TP here. And it's not the highest probable setup, so I'm literally just going to go break even as soon as we take out these first internal lows. That's a shit wick. I think I'm going to get stopped here. So it did look like we got displacement, but the fact that we didn't close below this previous wick low tells us there's a slowing down of price. There's a lack of selling pressure. Yeah, we might get fucked here. Because realistically, if we were high probable, we should respect this gap and instantly displace to the downside to draws that are literally 10 points away. But the fact that we haven't got that delivery to that first draw tells me, like instantly tells me that price is probably going to be high resistance. In which we're probably going to respect this SMT and then either continue lower or we'll get stopped out. But I don't mind getting stopped out here, it's fine. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So we ended up respecting that 15-minute gap and actually displacing higher. Now, honestly, that is kind of annoying because on high resistance days, sometimes we'll get SMT, right? And then we'll rebalance. We saw a bit of displacement, but the candle closed like shit. And honestly, what I should have done is, because we got a lack of displacement and the fact that we were far away from our draws, I should have waited for candle closure. But it's fine. I don't mind that. Next day, let's just see. No. Where are we natted? Alright. 1 hour, let's see. That's unfortunate. Fucked my 100% win rate. But okay, so overall, clear bullish bias. Again, the only thing that could stop me from being bullish is the fact that we're just very overbought. Right? We haven't had that much of a retrace. So if you go on the 1 hour, play out from market open, we've moved 64 points. Okay, even though we're displacing higher with a lot of speed, and it looks good, we've moved fucking 60 points. So that tells me, exactly right there, 6-7 points. Which tells me, and we have an SMT at these lows, in this 4 hour gap, right, boom. So even though the draws look decent and we're delivering quite nicely off of this gap, the only thing I don't like is our next significant swing highs are this rebalanced high and this high, which is kind of far away. Well, actually, this high isn't. But the volatility really tells me that this day, even though it might be clean, it's probably going to be shit because we have such low volatility. But let's just see if we can take anything. But again, we have to go in the mindset of all we need is 1 to 2 trades a week on 550k, and we can make 10 to 20k a month. Right? That's all you need. Oh, how many days have you done? My bad. I've literally only done I've done 2 days. I took 1 win, and obviously the last one was a loss. Very avoidable loss, but it's fine. What's the name of your indicators? What indicators? Wait, what do you mean? I don't have any indicators. Do you mean on my trading view? Well, the only indicator I use, this one, is ICE midnight and 8:30 open. It's just so I can see the daily ranges. Okay, so let's just go into the day. Wow. Okay, straight off market open. We did tap into this gap, but we are very overbought. I'd really, realistically like a deeper retrace for us to continue higher. By this point, okay. So we've already taken out this high. So to be honest, our draws and liquidity are fucking 112 points away from us. And so I don't need to worry about taking a long entry until like up here. Unless we take shorts. But let's just see how price reacts to this BISI. So far we are quite overbought. We haven't really tapped into... We kind of edged these lows multiple times. Okay, we tapped into that BISI. So far we've only moved again 38.7 minutes into market open. Typically my rule of thumb for these type of market conditions is from 9:30 to 9:45, if we don't get at least 60 points of movement from the range high to the range low, then that shows it's low volatility and I can just wait for another day. That's easy and obvious. But let's see if this order block and BISI will get respected. If we respect this CIBI and get displacement below this low, then we'll probably not respect this form of manipulation. And in fact, we could potentially take reversal type of shorts to these draws, especially because it's a nice unfilled 15-minute. Would you blast shorts, however, no obvious draw, no. Honestly, probably, let's just see the displacement and speed we get. The only thing that would make this short invalid is the fact that we've only moved 38 points from market open. But again, within the next few minutes, we could get a shitload of volume and structure. So if we get that, then this short, if we displace below this low with speed, could be very valid, especially because we have these nice relative equal lows here. And we are quite overbought, and we've just taken out a very, very significant high. And when we take out a very significant high, we'll at least get somewhat of a reaction out of it, like a retrace. And we're playing, even though this is a reversal sequence on the higher time frame, it's just a retrace, right? So honestly, I only take continuations, and this is kind of a continuation, but we'll just see. But let's see what we do here. There's no reason, like, if we think logically here, there's no reason now that we've tapped into this bearish gap that we shouldn't immediately displace below this low, right? We've already got the sponsoring that we've needed to go lower, so if we don't instantly do that, then it's not the best of setups, right? See the lack of willingness to displace lower, as you can see. Not the best. Wiki price action there. Cool, so that's not a valid short. We ended up closing like shit. We're respecting this BISI still, respecting this order block. Now seeing a bit of displacement to the upside. Okay, well, it looks like we just internally manipulated that high. Yeah, this is shit. Like, okay, the way I see this is we tapped in this 5-minute volume imbalance and this 1-minute gap. We see a bit of displacement to the upside, but because of the lack of volatility, 37 points, I'm just going to skip this day. Like, this is genuine, like, guaranteed lower probability. Like, and I can tell you, within the next, if I play out price, you'll see low probable price action. And I can tell you if it's going to be shit before it even occurs. Like, this is bullshit. Genuine shit price action. And yeah, there's no reason for price to get this deep of a retrace into these wicks to then continue lower. We've already tapped into this gap. Why shouldn't we just instantly go to these draws that are so close to us? That instantly, immediately shows it's going to be shit. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could have taken some scalp short like this, but it's like you can just wait another day. Retrace into this gap. I guess you could have like shorted here, but it's just like, bro, wait for another day where it's obvious. That's all you need. Now, okay, Wednesday. Wednesday, no news. I'm anticipating this to be a mid or high probable day. So let's just start on the hourly, right? Cool. What do we see? Okay. So hourly, if we zoom out a bit. So ES has taken out this high, NQ hasn't. So from that SMT, that very, very significant high, from that manipulation, we've then kind of started the form of a market maker SAM model, at least on the lower time frame. So either the move to the downside, this move that we're getting now, is just a rebalance price on the higher time frame to then continue higher, or we start the reversal sequence on the higher time frame as well and just start continuing lower. Regardless though, what draws can we mark out now that we're getting displacement to the downside, displacing below lows, disrespecting buy side imbalances? Well, the first draw we see is this pop, like swing low here, right? This intermediate term low, a low that's already tapped into a gap. Then we've got these lows, etc. But I'm not going to mark all of them out. Now, if we mark out from midnight open, what have we done? Okay, so from midnight open, London session manipulated these highs. Did we form SMT? No, we didn't form SMT. We respected this wick. And respected this SIBI and started seeing displacement to the downside. So honestly, I'm going to be more bearish than bullish, at least to these next draws. But from these draws, I want to see if price reverses higher, so I can potentially take longs, or if we just rebalance to continue lower. Simple. So 5 minute. One thing that I will say though is, if we look at the amount of points we've moved. Okay, so this is good. We've moved 150 points. So volatility looks pretty good. The volume and volatility here looks good. The day of the week is good. The draws and liquidity don't look bad, but they're not great either. So we'll just have to gauge price action. But the other thing that I would say that kind of opposes my idea to go bearish is the fact that we've kind of dumped 130 points with our max retrace being like 20 points. We're kind of oversold. We haven't really had a retrace into any 15, no hourly gaps, no 50-minute gaps. It's quite rare for this to happen. So because of that, we could potentially be bullish, right? So let's just see what price does here. Now, again, there's no need for us to take out this low to reverse. The reason being is because we're kind of already in this gap here. And even though it looks like we're closing below it, we're not going to close the 4 hour until the next 30 minutes when 10 a.m. closes. So if we displace to the upside, this will just appear as like a huge wick kind of thing. So that's one thing. Also, this low that rebalanced into this BISI, right, boom, acts as a rejection block. We just tap CE of it, right? If you go on the 15-minute rejection block, more specifically, this is some source. This is like bottom and top ticking source, but like, what did we do? Perfectly tapped the 0.706 point of the rejection block, which is a very volatile area. So this, to me, is our last line of defense to reverse higher before then taking out this low, right? Cool. Now, what do we see? Also, if we go on the 15-minute, this internal low, this wick right here, CE is being respected. So we don't necessarily have to take out these lows, even though these look like relative equal lows, which they are, but we can still respect these rejection blocks and that 4 hour gap. Cool. Next, let's just play our price. Let's see what we do here. Now, obviously, let me just get rid of this. We have this 15-minute bearish gap. Because our draws and liquidity to the upside, if we were to be bullish, are quite far away, I'd probably rather take trades in like the upper quartile range of this area. So I don't need to be rushing to take trades. Let's just see what we do here. Cool. How many points we moved? 44 points. It's fine. Rebalance into this buy side imbalance. Cool. And then we're seeing displacement to the upside. Now we've taken out this internal high, obviously within these 15-minute and these bearish gaps. But our next swing draws on liquidity are like up here. So I'm going to be a bit patient about this. What's ES doing? Okay, so the reason why I wouldn't take this long here is after taking out this high and rebalancing into this gap, we've then manipulated and rebalanced then into this buy side imbalance and got displacement away from it. So for most people, if we're displacing away from BISIs and displacing above highs, then we don't need to worry about the SIBIs because we're going to be bullish and we're going to invert all these SIBIs because we are going to be bullish in order flow. But again, the reason why I don't want to take this long is just because price could very easily, just because we're oversold, get a deep retrace like this to then continue lower, right? Especially because our first swing high drawn liquidity is all the way up here. So I don't need to worry about taking trades until we're kind of close to this first drawn liquidity. But, okay, we're still seeing a bit of rejection out of this bearish gap. Okay, let's be very attentive here. This internal low that rebalanced into this gap we formed SMT with. Now, I know this isn't like proper good SMT, but this is kind of like lower time frame SMT, but could still be valid. Now, only 50 points of movement, but if we get displacement in the next few minutes, could be very good. Okay, here is actually a really good trade to take. Now, the reason being is because this first entry is a bit too early. I didn't know if this gap was going to hold, but after already tapping into this gap, we then retrace into this BISI, get an internal form manipulation there, right? We see a bit of displacement, a bit of lethargic price action, a wick there. But now we're seeing cutthroat speed and efficiency above this swing high, which to me tells me that price wants to continue higher to these next draws on liquidity. Now, what you could do, however, is because again, our draws on liquidity are quite far, I'm going to wait for this candle to close. And I'm going to wait. Okay, we've closed above this high, which is good. How does price react to this two candle BISI here? I haven't properly explained it, the two candle BISIs. How does price react to that? Let's play out the 1 second. Okay, that is speed right there. So I'm going to enter there. And I'm going to target these highs here. Cool. Also, they're kind of relatively equal with these next highs. So let's go 5 minis right there. 1 mini per account. See what price does. Yeah. Gonna go break even here. Risk-free trade. See what we do here. You could add into your position here. We rebalance this BISI displacement close to these highs. And boom, that's TP. Clean. Easy does it. Let me check the chat. Has anyone said anything? Okay. That's it. Any questions? Quite simple, right? We moved like 90 points. That's actually decent for 2024. So let's move on to the next day. First weekend, already up. 4K is not. It's not that good, but we'll see. Next day, let's see. Order block disrespect and inverted the 15-minute all off of a bounce off a bullish figure going up to form chain state delivery. Pretty clean. Yeah. Alright, so let's go on the next day. 4-hour gap. Okay, how do you use those points you mentioned? Well, when I'm referring to points, this is if you don't know. You probably do know, but points is just the measurement of price on futures markets. Pips is Forex. Points, like from here, like 18,060, which is NQ's price down here, and then 18, 160 right here, that difference in points is 100 points. Now, the amount of points that we move per day, per daily range, and per session, or per a certain amount of time, can tell us how much volatility is in the market and how much volume of buyers and sellers are in the market, which is very important because that can greatly dictate the probability of the market, right? So, for example, on No News Mondays, where we have no news drivers, no high impact news drivers to spike the volatility, and the fact that it's the start of the month, the start of the week where we could generate liquidity, typically those days, the reason why they're worse is because we have a lack of volume and a lack of volatility. We move less points. And so you can measure the amount of points that we move. For example, today, like I'll just go today, right? From midnight open, how many points have we moved from the daily range? We moved 105 points. So pre-market, we've moved 105 points, which for this current market condition within like 2024, I remember this, is pretty decent. Like it's not bad, but it's not great. It's not very volatile, but it's not a lack of liquidity at all. So that's basically what I mean. Now, we tapped into this daily BISI, right? We created this huge wick, and on top of that, okay, understood, yeah, cool. On top of that, let's see. We have this rejection block. Nice. We're kind of in this discounted range of that rejection block. And from there, we've also got, obviously, this gap here with an internal form of manipulation. Quite a deep cut, but we see displacement to the upside. So because of that, and because we're overall bullish in the higher time frame, my draws, if I'm bullish, will be these highs and these highs, and obviously these next highs. And now if I'm bearish, my draws will be these lows and these lows, and obviously the lower time frame lows as well. So cool, that's it. So let's go to market open and let's see what price does. Let me check something. Okay. Let's just see. So honestly, yeah, if I'm bearish, these are also some nice draws, whatever. But okay, now that we've taken out, now that we've taken out this high, I want to see what price does at this high. We could definitely reverse at this high. Now, people would say, well, this high isn't really that significant because it's kind of just in this range. Well, I would say I beg to differ. We don't care about like that much about how significant the highs are. I still think we definitely could be bearish off this high. Reason I say that is because number one, we have S&T with the high, right? ES hasn't taken it out, NQ has. And number two, it's also within this bearish gap here. So from this high, I want to see if we rebalance to then continue higher, or if on the lower time frame, we get displacement below the low that will rebalance into this BISI, I know that price will, at least for the lower time frame, rebalance or reverse to these next draws of liquidity. Now, if we get a lot of speed and efficiency, even though it goes against my higher time frame narrative, like I still think within the next few days will continue higher, I don't care. Like the lower time frame is king, in my opinion. It validates the higher time frame. So let's just see here. Okay, so just get rid of this. Tapped into this 5-minute order block here. We're getting displacement to the downside. What we have done though is we've created 1, 2, 3, 4 unfilled gap as relative equal lows. So, boom. From that, we instantly get displacement to the downside, tap into this 15-minute gap and this 1-minute bullish gap. So, with SMT at these lows. So I want to see if this SMT and this gap retrace holds again to continue higher, or if we just rebalance to continue lower, in which we could take shorts. Simple. Now we've got this 2-candle SIBI. Now, okay, quickly, a 2-candle SIBI is basically where before the third candle forms, we have this kind of range here, which on the lower time frame are like lower time frame bearish gaps. So on the 1 minute, even though it's not a full SIBI yet, it's still a 2-candle SIBI. That's kind of why I refer to it as. Like, boom, right here. But on the 15-second, they're lower time frame bearish gaps. That's why they can be very useful. Okay, we're getting initial displacement, but okay, that's a nice wick. Overall, we also have 30 points of displacement. Not the best, but only 5 minutes into market open. So, okay, cool. That right there to me is good displacement. Now, I want to enter here. My stop loss isn't really protected. Honestly, and because it's low volatility, like what happened the other day, we could end up getting a bit of displacement below this SMT, but still respecting it and then continuing higher. So I'll play a bit safer. I'm gonna just wait for a rebalance if we do get that. Okay, so we're respecting this BISI still. However, if we respect the SIBI and get displacement off of it, I will take shorts. Because that's our second idea of trying to disrespect this SMT. So, honestly, I might go short like quite soon. Okay, I'm gonna short there, and I'm gonna put my stop loss quickly. I'm gonna put my stop loss there because this is the candle that rebalanced with this 15-second. Honestly, what I could do is I genuinely could put my stop loss here. Like this is the true protected stop loss. But honestly, if we go up to here, then I know this high will get invalidated as well. So I'm gonna put my stop loss here. It's kind of a discretionary stop loss, but I still think it's decent. In fact, this is a big ass stop loss. I don't need to play. Oh, hold on. Let me. Okay, fine. We'll do this then. We'll do this. Let's see if we displace. Boom, that's TP hit. In, out, easy. Right? Okay. Yeah. Cool. So we got displacement below that 5-minute gap. We initially had SMT, a reaction off of it. Instead, we rebalanced displacement to the downside, which tells us we want to continue lower. Easy. Textbook. Really, the model is quite simple to trade. It's just like the small, intricate details in price that help you be able to analyze the market conditions, the volume, the day of the news, all these things. Like the market conditions are really like the meat and potatoes of the strat. Because the model itself is easy, what really differentiates having a high win rate, like a 60 to 70% win rate, to like a high win rate, 80, 90%, is just understanding how it's affected in market conditions. So any questions, just ask. I'm going quite slowly, but whatever. Now today, 10th of May, Friday. Okay, we have 10 a.m. news. Now I fucking hate 10 a.m. news, unless it's very volatile conditions. Like, for example, recently this week we've had pretty decent 10 a.m. news days. But again, it's 2024 and it's a Friday. So number one, Friday, worst probable day of the month, of the week, most likely. Second of all, we have 10 a.m. news. So those are the two things so far that we can see. Now, could potentially affect the day. Also, third thought process. We're already 10 days into the month and we're up 6.4k, which tells us if you want to secure a 10k month, like all we need is 1 to 2 more trades. So there's no reason to put extra risk on the table for no reason, unless we see something so beyond obvious, right? You want to be very careful about taking entries. Like there's no need to rush, because our setup presents itself every day. It's just whether it's a good setup or not. So, but overall, like I said, I'm bullish, right? This S&T, we got displacement above it. Now, what do? We formed another S&T right here in price. ES took out this high right here. What did we do after the S&T? We rebalanced price, then displaced higher. So we displaced above the re-swept high, which tells us that this market maker sell model doesn't want to hold, and we want to continue higher. We're also displacing above this high. So overall, I'm going to be bullish, way more bullish than bearish. And so my draws on liquidity, in terms of order flow, we're trending bullish, displacing out of gaps. Simple. If I'm bullish, my draws will be this high, and this high. More specifically, I can also mark out the rejection block, and I'll mark out the 4-hour rejection. Okay, that the high is already tapped into the 4-hour. Cool. That 1-hour rejection block is also in line with the CE of this 4-hour. Cool. So all my draws to the upside are there. Now, if we mark out, boom, from daily open. How many points have we moved so far? 93 points. So not the best volatility. And honestly, the draws liquidity aren't the best. To the upside, they're pretty nice bullish draws. But if we were to be bearish today, again, to be fair, not bad draws. So draws kind of mid, decent. They can be all right. Volatility, mid. Also, we have news drivers. So today's probably going to be fucking mid to low probable. But unless something so obvious presents itself, I won't take anything. Now, what else do we see? We're also in this 1-hour order block. Another thing is, we kind of have a devil's mark day. From midnight open, our move to the upside wasn't sponsored, right? Because we didn't manipulate from midnight open. We straight went down half a point to then continue higher. So because of that, we could potentially be bearish because we're quite overbought. But we'll have to see. How does price react to this bearish gap? Now, a lot of the time, we might take out this low, then continue higher, or just continue displacing lower to these next draws. But we don't need to take out this low to go higher. Reason being is because, again, we're in this 1-hour PD array, this 1-hour order block. And if we see lower time frame structure and a rebalance into a gap, then our stop loss is protected, right? So let's see how price reacts to this 15 and 5-minute gap here. So we've tapped into it once. If we get a retracement to then, if we see something like this, boom, boom, displacement above this high, I'll take longs. But if we respect this gap, get displacement to the downside, and a rebalance, again, another displacement, I'll take shorts. Right, easy. I'm just ingraining this. So, one sec. Alright, cool. So, let's see here. Now we have this unfilled, okay, we have this 5-minute gap here. So ideally, if I wanted to take longs, I'd want to see a rebalance to this gap and displacement higher. That would be ideal. Price, you're going to do something. Oh my days. Let me reload the page. Now, what can we also note about 10 a.m. news days? Typically, 10 a.m. news days are either shit, or sometimes we can take trades after 10 a.m. But if we don't, then we want to take a trade realistically from between like 9:30 to 9:40. And also, the first draw liquidity will always get met if we do have an optimal entry before 10 a.m. But sometimes we'll take out the first draw, then we'll edge the final draw. What? No, fuck off. Then we'll edge the final draw, stop you out for then 10 a.m. to take it out, right? So if we are taking a trade pre-10 a.m., we always want to take it to the first lowest hanging fruit. And bro, it happens so often, it's unbelievable. It might even happen now. We always take out the first drawn liquidity if we do get an optimal trade before 10 a.m. And then we'll edge the final drawn liquidity. Okay, so we've tapped in that 5-minute there. So we're getting displacement away from this 15-minute, but we've also tapped into the 5-minute, right? So we're kind of like, where's price going to go? Now, what's really going to tell me where price is going to go is how price reacts to this 2-candle SIBI. Boom. Holy fuck. Crazy inversion of these lower time frame gaps. So from that, we're respecting and we're getting instant displacement to the upside. 25-point candle, that's pretty decent. So we're getting speed and efficiency, displacement, a lot of volume out of this 5-minute gap, which tells us that price probably doesn't want to respect this 50-minute bearish gap. And we're getting displacement above the high that tapped into this 50-minute bearish gap, market structure shift, which tells me you could probably enter a trade right now. However, because it's a 10 a.m. news day, it's not the best. I mean, okay, I'll ask kind of negative first. I'd probably just wait for, I'll probably just wait for a rebalance, especially because we could just respect this SMT that we have with ES right here, and continue lower. Also, because it's 9:30, it can be very manipulative. So I'm going to see how price reacts to this 2-candle busy here. But we're getting a lot of speed. So to be honest, I would take this, but I want to target this first hanging fruit. that's negative RR. I'd rather just wait for a gap retracement, which we'll probably get. Or not. Or we just fucking displace. Fuck. Honestly, that was pretty good. Pretty optimal. Yeah. That was actually a good trade. And what you could have actually done, which I actually completely forgot to say, is if you want to de-risk, then you could just go break even at the first internal draw. Before then. But this was the optimal entry. But if you really want to, at the first high, you can just go break even. But I probably should have taken this. But we'll just stay patient and wait for a rebalance, right? But overall, volatility looks pretty good. Honestly, my stop loss isn't really protected if I take a trade here. So I'm going to wait a bit. What are our draws on liquidity? Okay. Cool. Ooh, okay. So we've left this unfilled 5 minute, but we don't necessarily have to rebalance this 5 minute to then take out our next draws. Now I'm super confident in these draws being met now because we're 11 points from these very significant highs, and we're respecting this gap retrace on the higher time frame. Like, to me, this is looking like low resistance, high volatility, good price. The only thing is we might edge these highs or these highs before 10 a.m. So I want to see a proper shift in structure and closure above these internal swing highs. I'm going to wait until the closure here because it's a 10 a.m. news day. Now, boom, we get closure there. But honestly, I'll enter there. I'm pretty confident in the draw. And I know this high will at least get taken. So what I might do is go break even at this first internal high. But we'll see how price reacts to this high. But I'll put my stop loss like here. TP like a 1-to-1. Well, yeah. We'll do some shit like this. There's kind of a discretionary stop loss, but we'll enter this. Let's see how it plays out. Yeah, it's fine. You're respecting this 2-candle BISI. Getting displacement away from it. Cool. How does price react to that high? Okay, we've taken it out. I want to see how price reacts to this BISI here. I might close early if we don't get reaction off this BISI. Okay. Okay, that's good actually. Cool. Instantly off the bat, I'm going to put my stop loss to break even. I want to be risk-free, especially because we're nearing 950. And 950 to... I don't take trades after 950 on 10 a.m. news days. So let's just see if we run. Boom. TP here. But honestly, the optimal definitely was here. And honestly, it was kind of stupid for me not to take this. I said the reason why I didn't take this is because this was a negative risk reward. But what I could have done is just held for a 1-to-1, gone break even at this high, and it would have been fine. But yeah, that's a W anyway. Holy exit. Holy shit. Holy fuck. I would have actually got fucked. My TP was there. Exactly what we do, bro. Genuinely respecting this rejection block. And we edge that external high, which we always do on these type of days. And it's a killer, bro. Genuinely. 10 a.m. news, we always edge highs. But you just got to be attentive to what price does. Now that it's after 10 a.m., let's see if we can take a trade after 10 a.m. But if you had missed this, let's just wait and see if we can take another trade. Did ES take up the high? Oh, okay. Well, it took it out a while ago, so we're still respecting that SMT there. And that's very rare that we don't take out those external highs, but sometimes we'll just respect the rejection block. But honestly, because we've edged those highs, I do anticipate the price to rebalance into this 5-minute gap to then continue higher. That's what I'm really looking at. Now, I think ES is already rebalanced. Okay, so let's just see. Holy displacement. Okay, well, based on that, okay, respecting this order block, displacement below this low. Now, what we do have though, what we're about to form is SMT. We're about to form SMT with these lows. Okay, so we're respecting this gap. Okay, that's actually, so on one side, we've edged these lows both on ES and NQ. Right, boom, boom, boom. And so we might rebalance price to then continue lower, in which we could take shorts, knowing that we're very close to these lows, both on ES and NQ. But again, we're still respecting this 5-minute BISI. So I want to see what price does to this CIBI after. If we get displacement out of this CIBI, this bearish gap, to the downside, and displays below the low, this low right here, already rebalanced into this BISI, then I know that this 5-minute will get disrespected and will then continue to these low resistance draws, which are pretty good draws because these moves to the upside aren't really sponsored. Yes, we've rebalanced it to, gaps, but this whole day we haven't really manipulated lows to displace high. We've kind of just rebalanced into gaps to then continue higher, right? So, okay, 1-minute CIBI tap. How does price respect that? Okay, cool. Okay, so we have SMT at this low. Our last line of defense for being bullish, honestly, is internal form manipulation, SMT at these lows, within this 5-minute gap to reverse higher. But if we see speed to the downside on ES and NQ, it tells us that we're going to displace below this low, and then we can take easy shorts. Like, this will be high probable shorts, in my opinion. So let's just see here. Okay, respecting the SMT currently. 40 seconds into the candle. What's ES doing? What's NQ doing? 50 seconds in. Okay, speed. Wow. That's quite a late entry, but I'll take it anyway. Just because the draws are quite far. Boom, I'm in there like swimwear. Stop loss. Honestly, like, the stop loss should have been here, but it's 36 points. I'll just put it at 30 points. I don't think price would even retrace this far enough anyway. And I'll just target fucking all these lows. Because I'm pretty confident in the draw here. I'll go break even at this first internal low as well. Just so I can be risk off. Okay, ES is taking out the low. So we could potentially revert. Okay, but it hasn't taken out this low. Okay, that's fine. Boom. Respect that bearish gap. Displacement to the downside. ES still hasn't taken out this low. Cool. ES is taking out this low. We formed SMT, but obviously that SMT won't hold. But we've also taken out this first internal low. And also, if we're truly low resistance and high probable, we've already retraced into this gap. So we shouldn't even retest this high to then continue lower unless we're high resistance. So this is a valid break-even point. So let's just see what price does here. That is edge. And boom, that's TP. Easy continuation to the downside. Cool. Let me see chat real quick. Any questions so far? Boom. Okay. Yeah, trust. So, boom. 13k in the month. That's actually pretty good already. And we're halfway through the month. I'll stop, honestly, I'll stop on like the 15th. I'll stop like halfway through the month. I'll do 15 days. But this day does not look promising. Now, what do we have to see here? We can understand that on the month, we're up pretty decent, right? I think we've taken, what, like 3-4 wins, 1 loss. That's actually pretty good. And that's quite higher frequency than I would normally take, but the setups have been really clean. And so, I've already made 13k this month. All I need is one more winning day to secure a payout, right? So at the end of the day, if I don't see something that's so beyond obvious, there's no reason to put extra leverage and extra risk on the table, right? Because you can secure, literally, like, I'll put it into perspective. You can have 5 50ks, You risk $500, 1% per trade. So you're risking a fourth of your account. But with this high probability strat, it's very, very, very unlikely that you'll lose 4 trades in a row, right? So you can risk 1% per account. All you need to make is 1 RR, 1% a week, one single 1 RR trade a week across those 5 accounts. That's 2.5k a week, and that's 10k a month. It's genuinely so simple. So fucking simple. So there's no need to, even when you see a setup that you look and see like, oh, it probably will run, don't take it. Take the setups that you see and say, yeah, this is easy, this is free, right? Because the best setups are the easy and obvious ones. Why are you complicating trading? All you need to do to make 10, 20, 30k a month is just scale capital and get little returns, low frequency. And with this strat, it's not even little returns, right? We've already made 13k. So that's the thing, like, you just need to trade low frequency. But overall, I will say bullish. But, I mean, Monday, it's no news Monday. It looks pretty shit. Also, if we look from midnight open, we have moved around 60 points. Okay, I'm going to skip this day entirely. Because I'm already up this month. I don't need to worry about taking bullshit trades. Again, this was dog shit price action. And it was so simple to know that it was going to be dog shit. Why? Number one, it's Monday. Number two, we have no news. And number three, pre-market, we had moved 60 points. So instantly, I'm skipping the day. Because I know, even if I was to take a trade, it's a guaranteed lower probable trade. I only want to be taking the bangers. So yeah, let's just go on to the 14th. See if we can see anything here. Now, oh, bro. Powell speaking. Now, when Powell speaks at 10 a.m., it's very, very, very consistently shit price action again. So, I might skip this day within the first few minutes if I see some bullshit. But what do we see here? So we have this huge external, or so huge significant high we formed SMT with. From that high, bro, like, the higher time frame just looks choppy and range bound. Like, very wicky, very choppy. ES looks cleaner, right? We tapped into this 4-hour gap. We took out these internal lows here within this 4-hour gap. And we see a nice rejection there with that wick. From that, I think this is 8:30 news. What the fuck? The fuck? 135 point candle. Was this CPI? This has to be CPI. It just doesn't say on FX replay. Well, regardless, the straddle would have worked perfectly here. Anyway, let's just see what presents itself. So, okay, so we're in this 5-minute gap. But we do also have SMT with, okay, we've internal form manipulation there. We also have SMT with these highs, right? So I want to see if the SMT with those highs within that bearish gap holds to reverse price, to target the data low, which is the news candle low, and also the CE of that wick, because the wick of the data candle is so high volatility, and it's genuinely like crazy. We're in this 5-minute BSC here. Let's see how price reacts to it. Also, let's see the volume we have. 28 points, not the best. 6 minutes into market open, we have 36 points of movement. Sorry, 28 points of movement. Now, we're respecting this 5-minute. We are getting speed displacing above the high that created this SMT, which tells me price wants to go to these very, very nice and easy draws on liquidity. Very nice, clean, equal highs, relative equal highs, in which you could take this long. But because it's lower volatility, higher resistance price action, right? Because we already tapped into this 5-minute once, and then we tapped into it the third time, then continued higher. Also, these candles are very small volatility. I want to wait for extra confirmation. So I want to see what price does to this 2-candle BSC. But honestly, like, yeah, we inverted it. There's no reason to do that. But this is Tom Powell. This is Tom's entry right here. I know for a fact he would have taken this. Or maybe he wouldn't have. Where's our TP? Still 1-to-1. Let's see if this plays out. Okay, this plays out. Cool. So overall, respect this 5-minute gap. We get displacement above the high that formed the SMT, with very, very clean and easy draws liquidity equal highs here, which are very obvious. Equal highs are probably one of the best draws liquidity in the game. We do see a bit of lack of speed and a lack of volatility, but we ended up making up for it by getting 60 points. So obviously, we do have good volatility. We got displacement out of that 5-minute gap, inverted the civvy, order block respect, displacement. Honestly, to be honest, this was actually a good trade. I should have taken this, to be honest. And even if, let's say you went break even at these first internal highs, very close to your entry, you still would have ran to TP. But I called it, but honestly, I'd rather just take something that's really, really obvious, especially because I'm at this point 1 day away from a payout, right? I want to emulate what it would be like live. But this would be a valid entry. Now, let's see. Let's go to the next day. This is going to be my last day because I've done this for an hour and 15 minutes. So, I'm going to play Rocket League as well. Let's run some Rocket League. Okay, this day. Okay, this has to be CPI. There's no way. Why doesn't it say? What the fuck? Okay, so it was CPI. Yeah, okay. So, CPI. Bro, the straddle method, again, would have worked so perfectly here. And if I go on the 1 second, oh fuck, you can see the CPI candle destroy 1 second pump to the upside without any retrace. So you wouldn't have got fucked there. Anyway, now CPI days, honestly, I quite like CPI days. A lot of people say it's bad, but I personally like CPI days. Sometimes they can be shit, but I would say they're mid to high probable, sometimes low probable, but I would say on average they're mid probability. But if we look at the higher time frame, 4 hour, what do we see? Right, with respect to this 4 hour gap on ES, looks cleaner there. Displacement above this high, we're just bullish. Right, we're getting displacement above highs, respecting lows, inverting bearish PD rays, respecting this bullish PD ray. Right, we got this 4 hour gap. We're getting delivery away from that 4 hour gap. Right, everything's clean. So obviously, because of that, I am more bullish on the higher time frame. We're just trending bullish, easy, right? And these days where we're just trending and we have expansion days are just the easiest days. Now, both ES and NQ are edging this high. So to be honest, I'm pretty confident these highs getting taken, especially because there's a lot of nice relative equal highs on the higher time frame here. Boom, boom, boom. I'll mark them out when they become relevant. The only thing I would say that could make price be bearish today is the fact that we've kind of moved to the upside by 400 points, not that deep of a retrace. We don't need, deep retraces. But what else do we see? Within this 4 hour gap, we get this first internal form of manipulation. I'll just simplify it here. First internal form of manipulation here, right? We get our second form of manipulation. We form SMT with these lows. Right, we re-swept these lows, and if we're truly bullish, re-swept lows should be protected. And from that, boom, instant delivery to the upside. 830 CPI is continuing higher. Now, I want to see what price does to the high of the CPI candle. And also, if I go on the 5-minute, from this wick, the wick of these data candles are so important. It's a reason why loads of people got break even last CPI. They didn't understand the reason why we edged this high is because we respected perfectly the CE of the wick of the CPI candle, which is what we do a lot of the time. Because if you think about it logically, we've kind of sapped all of the liquidity out of the market. We've moved 150 points in a single minute, right? So a lot of the volatility and volume is all just within this one candle, right? So you can kind of view it as all the liquidity has kind of been sapped and been taken from that one candle. And so because of that, very, very commonly, we'll trade within the range of the CPI candle. And then once we take out the high or the low of the CPI candle, then we'll get really, really nice and high probable price action. But until then, we can just end up just trading within the range of the CPI candle, right? And sometimes we can be low probable because of that. But that's kind of the source on CPI. But let's just play out market open. Now, we also have this 15-minute bullish gap. Like, again, I'm taking this really slowly. I'm going through all the thought processes I would if I was to trade live. Now, this is, what, the 15th of May. Let's just play it out. So, yeah, we'll stop after this day. Honestly, like, no longs for me yet. Like, yes, we kind of have this baby form of manipulation, but it's just like, what's the need for me to take a long here when our other draws liquidity are so far away? I can still catch a 1-to-1 past these highs, like right here. So there's no need for me to take an early entry. That doesn't really look that good, especially because we've also formed SMT at these highs, right? Boom. And we haven't taken out these lows, which preferably, especially on CPI days, the low that we rebalance into initially always gets taken, right? So I'm very confident that this low will get taken. All right, so, and also if you look at, in fact, let me look at the daily range. How many points have we moved? Okay, that's good. Volatility check, draws liquidity check. We just need to check out price action, the volume of market open. Again, like, we're kind of just too close to these highs. Also, okay, we've created relative equal highs both on ES and NQ. ES has edged these highs, which looked pretty good, because if we rebalance after edging these highs, that's even better for me, to be honest. I know, it's kind of high resistance. Like, we swept this low once. In fact, we swept this low once by ES here. And then we reswept it again, second time. Then we swept it for the third time. So we're manipulating this low for the third time. And we're getting displacement off of it, which tells me that price is higher resistance. So I'd rather take longs off another drawn liquidity or not take longs at all. Or at least take longs higher up in the condition of the market. Because I'll have more context when I'm there. Okay, so cool. We formed SMT with these highs. So now I want to see if that SMT holds to reverse price or to rebalance to then continue higher. But so far, we are just literally moving low volatility, range bound, high resistance. No trending. So again, like this is probably going to be shit, but let's see what price does. Play out the 1 minute. Okay, cool. Swept that low, 954, still within trading time. Volatility still looks good, 88 points, right? And we tapped the CE of this 15-minute bullish gap. Very, very nice. And also of the swing range. Boom, boom. In fact, whenever I mark out the swing range, it has to be from here. Okay, I didn't mark out 0.6. 0.6. Okay. Yeah, cool. We tap perfectly into the 0.68 of this range. So honestly, I think price will deliver higher here. But if we rebalance now into a bearish gap, right, and then see displacement to the downside, then most likely we won't respect this rebalance and we'll continue low to our bearish draws. But if we invert this gap and then get a BISI respect and displacement off of that, then I know that this S&T won't hold and we'll continue to our next bullish draws on liquidity, right? So let's see if we have any 5-minute gaps here. Okay, so we just formed this 5-minute gap here. Let me just go on the 5-second. We are seeing a bit of slowing down in price, but I need to see nice speed and efficiency. But honestly, because the draws look pretty decent, like even though we're not moving the best in price, like it still could be decent. Okay, that's decent displacement. Now, because we have slightly less probable price action, I'm not going to instantly enter off of that. Why? Because I can still wait to take all of these other trades, like up here, and still catch the same amount of points as usual. Still catch my 1-to-1, 1-to-2. I would rather wait for price to be slightly higher for extra confirmation. And now that we've inverted the SIBI, I want to see what price does to the BISI after it, right? Because sometimes on high resistance days, we'll get that SIBI inversion, but then we'll just go straight to the downside again, right? Just because we invert one SIBI doesn't mean shit. Let's see this. Again, we're getting speed about that 5-minute. But again, our draws are quite fast. I'm going to wait. Okay, we tapped in that normal BISI right there. Let's see the speed that we get above this internal swing high here. We get a lot of speed and close nicely. We're about to close in 1 second. Okay, that wasn't the best closing, but what does price do? Let's see how speedy we move. Okay, that's speed. That is speed and efficiency. So I'll enter here, but because it's a slightly higher resistance day, I'm not going to put my stop loss below the swing low, because we might potentially re-sweep this internal low to then continue higher. So I will just play this game to be protected by the 5-minute gap here. I'll put my stop loss like here. And because I've built a pretty decent buffer, I'm willing to risk 36 points with 1 mini, which is around like $700, but that's fine. That's slightly above, that's like 0.75%. So we'll buy there, cool, stop loss there. TP, honestly, I'll probably go break even once this high gets taken, but I'm going to aim for a big trade here, 5.7k, because I'm already up 13k, and if my original TP gets here, which it probably will, I'll just go break even, and I'll be risk-free. So I'm going to aim for a big month here. I typically aim for the higher RR and bigger trades when I've already built like a decent buffer and I'm up a month. But let's just see what we get here. Rebalance into that BISI there. See, we're slowing down in price, but we're edging these highs. Okay, displacement there, nice. We've taken out the high. Considering break even here. Depending on how we reject off this high, I'll go break even. We're in that wick. How do we reject? I'm going to break even. I don't like that rejection, in all honesty. Because we're rejecting off the wick there. We're still respecting the SMT. Okay, we're just getting displacement though. Yeah, this is goated. I'm going to drag my stop loss and profit to like here. To secure, yeah. To secure a good day. To secure 1-to-1. HTP, there we go. TP hit. Done. That's a good way to end the session. Good way to end the session. That's it. How do you even frame playing that gap? Because it's ridiculously huge. If we make an order block at the low, when is this? 10:21. What time is it now? If we make an order block at the low and see it disrespected, would you short? What do you mean? Like, for example, okay, wait, hold on. Below the swing low in the middle of the range. Oh, like here. Okay. Honestly, I don't really look at order blocks as much as, for example, Tom does. Like, I'll envision them, but what I do is kind of just gaps in liquidity. But if I was to go short, let's say, if I was to go short, what I would need price to do is, obviously we have this 5-minute bearish gap here. We inversed it, but if we did something like this, let's say we respected this SMT, or let's say respected this gap, I would need to see, like, let's say we closed here. I would need to see a SIBI inversion after tapping into the, I need to see a BISI inversion after tapping into the gap. So something like this. And then after we get that displacement, again, because the draws are like pretty far away, either I'll wait for a retrace into that SIBI and displacement off of that for me to validate shorts just before this low gets taken. Or what I can literally do, it's the final confluence of taking trades. And because our draws and liquidity are far away, and this is what I personally would have done, is if we got delivery off of this bearish gap, I would have waited for one of the assets to take out this low. Because realistically, our last line of defense for being bearish are these BISIs, then the order block, then the rejection block, then the low. So I'd wait, and because I can still take a 1-to-1 to these nice high probable draws and liquidity, if we're truly bearish, which we should take out, I can still catch my points below this low. So I don't need to worry about having to take a trade beforehand. So I'll wait for one of the assets to take out this low, form SMT, and see how price respects the SMT. If, let's say, NQ takes out the low first, ES doesn't, this low, we form that SMT, and then on the next candle, we either rebalance and then displace lower, or literally off rip displace with down to the downside with speed and efficiency both on ES and NQ. I know that this SMT and this manipulation won't hold, and I put my stop loss above the rebalanced high, boom, TP here. That's it. But SMT disrespect is kind of like the highest probable entry model, in my opinion. But yeah, that's what I would have done if I was to take shorts. But yeah, that's it really. Any of you in the audience, literally any questions, fire them at me. But that was a decent session. Let's look at the win rate. Let's look at the analytics. This is the moment. That's good. Okay, so honestly, this isn't enough. It isn't enough statistics to go like to fully base the win rate off. I haven't finished the month, so it's only like 7 trades that I took. But overall, though, it still is pretty good statistics. 85% win rate, 6 wins, 1 loss. The first loss was the second trade I took, and it was very, very avoidable. But overall, again, average consecutive losses is the most important part. Even if your win rate is like 60%, for example, what's most important is the consecutive losses, because this is what like if your win rate is 60% and your average consecutive losses is like 1, like you'll take a loss but then you'll take a win, and you won't really go below 2 consecutive losses, then that's completely fine that it's 60%, because if we're talking prop firms, it's very unlikely that you'll take 2 losses in a row, which means you'll keep the account. But if we look at the returns, again, already I was risking 1%. I'm already up 7.59% on the month, halfway through. P&L looks pretty healthy. This week was pretty high. Took a lot of trades this week, 4 trades. But yeah,